All right, this is this week's episode of the WeSpeak Easy podcast. Today we have a guest, which is Frazier. We're going to get started. We're going to talk about Philly sports. We're going to talk about sports in general. And this week we are going to kick it off. It is Friday of Memorial Day weekend. So let's get started. All right, man. What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the Sixers.
Right.
Start with the Sixers because, the funniest thing about the Sixers is the whole trust the process, and which I think most people around here have trusted the process. But I saw something interesting today, about the Sixers are talking to LeVar or Lonzo Ball's agent.
I saw that.
About bringing him for a workout.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the interesting thing about that. It's twofold on both sides. It's the way I look at it is, why the hell would you want to bring that kid in? Because he's not. I don't think he's that good. I mean, I think he's a good talent, but his shot is terrible. It's going to get blocked like crazy from taller guards. But not just. Let's take him out of the equation. My big fear is his father. You know, you always talk about cancers in the locker room. Yeah. His father is going to be a huge cancer unless this is all just a charade, which will end once he gets drafted. But I don't think that's the case.
I don't think so either. And I don't think his dad's going to be. I think once he's in and playing, I think his dad will be focused on the business and the shoes and everything else. But look at the issues they have with Okafor's dad. Look at the issues that the Flyers have with Lindros's parents.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a good thing. And you're right, he is not a fit here. So unless you're trading Ben Simmons, I don't understand the fit.
Exactly, because if you want to have Simmons be the point forward, essentially, then because Lonzo is not a two guard. No. He's not. So you're just wasting. You could go and you get all these other forwards. You get Josh Jackson, who, whether he's the right pick or not, he will be the best player available if Fultz goes number one and Ball goes number two, like everyone's expecting. Yep. And you draft him, and if Simmons is going to run a point, you could work it in with Jackson. Now that's the.
And Jackson's not a great shooter either.
No,
but he's a better scorer than Ball is, and a better shooter than Ball is. And I mean, I just don't get it. I don't see where Ball fits on this team at all.
The $50 million question is, can Simmons run the point at the NBA level? He didn't do it at LSU, so why do we?
He controlled the ball a lot. To me, Simmons is the most like LeBron.
He needs to put some weight on.
From size, right? From a size perspective, he's a little bit taller than LeBron. He's obviously a little thinner than LeBron, but he has a very similar skill set. Mm-hmm. LeBron's not a great shooter. He's never been a great shooter, but he's a better shooter than Ben Simmons.
Yeah, but he's a clutch shooter. I mean, how about that three-pointer he made, in, was it the finals? Or it was definitely in the playoffs where, it was the end of the game and he's falling out of bounds and he drains a three. I forget exactly what game that was. It's Toronto.
Against Toronto.
I mean, so he's definitely he's not clutch like Michael Jordan. No. And he's not the same player as Michael Jordan. That's a whole other discussion for another topic for another day. But I don't think that it's too early to put that kind of a comparison on Simmons or Ball. I mean, because at this point, neither one of them has played a minute in the NBA.
Agreed.
So you can't. I mean, you cannot. That's the one thing that I hate when these young guys are coming up, and if they've been in, if they're being drafted or they're prospects, or even if they've been in the league for a year. Everyone starts anointing them the next Michael Jordan, the next LeBron, and it's not right. Let them be consistent. Let them have a couple years where they actually put the numbers up, and they deserve to be compared with those guys. It's not right that Kobe Bryant was called the next Michael Jordan, even though he actually did almost live up to it. He was good.
Closest thing that we've had with Michael Jordan.
But it's not. But it's disrespectful for those players to have to anoint a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old the next Michael Jordan, the next LeBron, the next Kobe, because how many of these 19-year-old guys that come in, how many of them have been flops?
All of them.
They're all. I mean, you find. I mean, and not just that. Like here, let's talk about John Wall. Yep. All right, now we're getting well off Philly sports, but still, John Wall is having a great year. He's become a great NBA All-Star player, caliber player. But It took him a few years because he came into the league when he was 19.
Yeah.
And people forget that when you're drafting these guys at 19 years old, they're still kids, but you're throwing millions of dollars at them, and you're putting them in, to the highest level of basketball competition in the world, and you're expecting them to produce. LeBron did it, but it still took LeBron a couple years.
And LeBron, look, I mean, comparing anybody to LeBron LeBron's a freak show. I mean, the guy's been in the public eye since he was 13 years old. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 13 or 14, whatever it was. He walked into the NBA, averaged 20 points a game his rookie year. And, I mean, there's a hashtag on Twitter today, which is, it was the last time LeBron didn't make the finals.
Oh, yeah, no, I saw that.
Right?
I actually saw it's 2010. It was the Celtics. Celtics played the Lakers.
Yeah.
So it's been the last 6 years, LeBron has been in the finals.
This is 7 in a row.
Yeah, this is
year
seven in a row.
And they said that the last time LeBron didn't make the finals, John Wall wasn't in the league.
Yeah.
Matthew Dellavedova was a freshman in college.
Uh-huh.
Like, you're talking like, this dude is a freak show. This is 7 straight years in the finals.
And that has to, look, all right, so we're going to go somewhere where we said we weren't going to go, but, it's hard. I grew up watching Michael Jordan, and he was great. And I don't think LeBron's Michael Jordan. I don't think he's any better, because I think it's tough to compare athletes from different eras. It's impossible, because the game changes, the training changes, the rules change. If you just want to, for an example, in the NFL, the quarterbacks of the 80s, Marinos and the Elways, the gunslingers, they would have a field day with the rules this way.
Yeah.
Defensive backs can't, they can't touch anybody. In that day, they were all over them, and they still threw for, Marino's best season was 5,000, 84.
Yeah.
It was the second year, but still 5,000 yards and 48 touchdowns. It was like 5,084 or something.
Yeah.
And that stood until they laxed the records, and then Drew Brees that smashed it, and then year after year, it keeps getting smashed.
Yeah.
So that's got to tell you something. But that goes back to my point that you can't really compare guys from different eras, because it's not right. Because they're not playing the same game. If Michael Jordan played today, Michael Jordan would be 10 times better than he was, I think, because with the training.
He is. And you got to look at it like, look, Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time. He had killer instinct.
Yeah.
He was a leader. He was a ridiculous scorer. He improved his game every year. He was Defensive Player of the Year.
And he made the guys around him better.
So much better.
Now
look,
that's a knock on LeBron, though, because LeBron does not make the guys better around him. Because look what happens. Well, he does, but not the level Jordan did.
Yeah.
When LeBron has an off game, look what happened in Game 3 against the Celtics. They lose. Celtics, they blow the Celtics out by 44 points in Game 2. All right? Okay? And then Game 3, LeBron has an off game. They only win, the Celtics win by 2. So, that's now obviously, you're not going to win by 40 points, but they won Game 1 by 20.
Yeah.
So, and that's a big difference, and that's, look,
LeBron's a better all-around basketball player than Michael Jordan.
He is.
He's the greatest physical specimen of a basketball player we've ever seen.
He's a freak.
He can do anything for someone who's 6'9", weighs 250, 60 pounds. He's the same size as Karl Malone.
Yeah.
And Karl Malone could only post people. Karl Malone's a great basketball player.
Karl Malone was fat.
But he could only post people up and score that way, and he needed John Stockton to be great. But yeah, so different things. Although, interesting, just getting back to Philly stuff, I just pulled up an article, I guess that was published today on NJ.com. And it said that there is a little bit of talk of the Sixers and the Knicks making a trade with Kristaps Porzingis.
That's interesting, but again, what's the trade going to be? Because that's another big guy. We don't need big guys.
The trade here is, so they said we would have to lose Sarge, Robert Covington, the Lakers pick, and the Kings pick.
I don't know about that. Two picks, 2 first-round pick, too high. All right, so we get the Lakers pick no matter what next year, right? It's not protected anymore.
Not protected.
They're probably not going to be as bad as they were. But I did see something that Magic Johnson said that the only guy on that roster is protected is Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
So and they're ready to ship out D'Angelo Russell, who was
they're going to make wholesale trades.
Yeah, Russell was a top 5 pick a couple years ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, and there was talk of him coming to the Sixers. But I mean, if you're talking about Simmons, Porzingis, and Embiid on the same team, that's a massive front court.
Yeah, well, it is. But are you considering Simmons part of a front court if he's running the point? He's
true. But then you really know that all they need to do is go after shooting.
Yeah.
At that point, because you have your 4, you have your 5, you have a stretch 4 that could shoot.
Yeah.
Nobody on this fucking team can shoot right now.
Wait, so who are you saying is the stretch 4 that can shoot? Simmons?
No, Porzingis.
Oh, okay. All right.
Porzingis is going to bury threes. He can shoot from the outside.
Yeah. Oh, I love Porzingis. He's a great player, and he's being wasted. He's going to be wasted.
And him and Embiid together complement each other very well.
Yeah.
But then you still need a 2. And then you're losing Covington.
Yeah.
Who's your 3-and-D guy? But that's an interesting.
It's an interesting thing, and it all. You know what that trade would really hinge on? If they hit a home run with the number 3 pick this year, because if they get a.
Well, then you pick up Josh Jackson.
Yeah,
you need him.
Exactly. Well, if you make that trade before the draft, yes.
If you make that trade before the draft,
right.
You pick up Jackson, and then you try to package Okafor and something for a serviceable 2 guard.
Yeah.
Because look now, the Celtics are going to trade somebody.
The thing is, too, here's something also with that is, if you get all these guys, you know what? Are we going to make the playoffs this year?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not going to make the playoffs, and you make the trade for Porzingis, right? And you draft Josh Jackson, and you're still missing a 2 guard. You know what? Some of the theory maybe, let's not go out and overspend for a 2 guard or make a trade or do something. Let's play out the roster and see if we can work with this and see if Simmons can run a point and we're just missing that too. Because then if you can show the rest of the league that you are that 1 chip away, you'll get a free agent to come in.
Well,
and they have the cap money to spend.
If they make this trade,
do
right?
They have the cap money?
Well, here's the thing. Because Porzingis is still under contract. So if you make this trade, you have Simmons, you have Embiid, you have Porzingis. 3 of they're all going to be starters.
Mm-hmm.
You draft Josh Jackson, he's your 3. You hope.
Yeah.
Right? He's definitely going to be a great defender. So at a minimum, he's a
baller. He's definitely a baller.
And he can score.
Yeah.
And then do you sign Kyle Lowry? Because now you're way closer than you
Yes. Yes.
So now do you say...
And he kind of wants to come here.
So then maybe you don't draft Josh Jackson.
Right.
So maybe that's where you draft Monk. You get Lowry. Simmons goes to the 3. And then you have your giant front court.
Well, yeah. I mean,
now you have a starting line.
But that's all dependent on what they want to do with Simmons. That's the $50 million question here.
But my thing is, who cares? Like, if you look at it...
I like that lineup. I like that. I mean, I like Fox better than Monk. I gotta say that.
I do too. But if you're strictly going on, we need a 2 now that can shoot.
Yeah.
Then
Monk can shoot.
Then you go Monk, or you go Dennis Smith, or you look at somebody else in that.
Or maybe even you look at trading down, but
or you trade the pick.
Yeah.
You trade the pick. So if you're saying, okay, well, fuck it, we're gonna go all in now, you could trade that pick for Avery Bradley. Or you could trade that pick for name a 2 guard, right? That you would like to pick up. There's not that many great 2 guards.
No, there's not. I mean,
we got Bradley Beal.
Yeah, right? But Washington's not letting Beal go.
No, you got DeMar DeRozan, who they're not going to get.
No,
Toronto's not going to give you their whole front.
No, because especially if we assign Lowry and they let Lowry walk, DeRozan's not going nowhere. But that's the thing too. Ibaka's a free agent on Toronto too. So.
But if you look at 2 guards around the league, they can do some things to get. Yeah,
there's moves that we're not even thinking about that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's really everything is up in the air because it's kind of like, all right, well, and this is why the good GMs get paid good money and they stay there. Places like San Antonio and actually, San Antonio really is probably the staple of an NBA franchise. Kind of like in baseball, St. Louis and San Francisco are.
Yeah, well, look, the San Antonio's going to go after Chris Paul.
Yeah, and you know what? He'll probably go there because they just have a tradition of winning. Pop knows what he's doing. And you know why? Here's the biggest thing. Places like that, nobody is bigger than the team. It's about team. And that's the thing in sports. You see it, and the minute that you lose sight of that, and you let the guys come in with their prima donna attitudes, the me first, that's when the cancer starts in the locker room. And I mean, even in baseball, which in baseball you've seen, back in the Yankees were buying championships. That doesn't happen anymore. Who's winning the World Series? Look at the last 5 World Series champions. Yep. It's all teams that were bad, and they've done good through the draft. I mean,
and it seems to go culture first. It seems to look for character players that do well.
Somebody told you 5 years ago Kansas City was going to win a World Series, go to 2 straight World Series, and win one. Yeah. You would say, "What are you smoking?" But look what they did. I mean, they're having an off year this year, and they didn't go last year, but they won to Kansas City. The Royals, the laughingstock of baseball, basically, for years. Yeah, exactly.
They were the shittiest franchise ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, but Don Nelson got turned around. They had those seasons with Barry Davis.
They had a couple seasons with Chris Mullin and them and Tim Hardaway.
Yeah.
Then you had a couple seasons
with Charles Sprewell.
Yeah. And then you go Barry Davis for a little bit, and then it's cold again.
Yeah, I mean, once Mullin, Hardaway, and Weber left, they were. That's Sprewell. They were still decent, but then Sprewell left, and they were bad. They bring Baron Davis in. All of a sudden, they're number 8 seed. Would they beat the Mavericks?
They beat the Denver Nuggets.
Denver Nuggets. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and the first 8 seed to win. That was a five-game series.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was too short.
How about the
fuck somebody up in 5 games?
Mutombo beats the Sonics, and they were the 8 seed. He's lying on the court. I still remember that, lying on the court, like crying. So, but I mean, it's interesting to see. To get back on topic, it's interesting to see what the Sixers will do. There's a lot of stuff they can do out there, and they have the pieces. But I think that look at what happened if we go back to the trade deadline this year. Everybody was all wanted Okafor, and you know what? With having Noel and Embiid, it was like, all right, get rid of Okafor because he doesn't play defense.
Yep.
We don't really need his offense because Embiid. But I mean, I think there was that. There's that. They're hesitant because Embiid got hurt again.
They are, and I don't think they're trading Okafor.
No, I mean,
I think they're holding on to him.
You can't.
Just as an offensive player.
You have to. I mean, it sucks because he clogs up that. He's a great offensive player, but he doesn't get back on defense. He's lazy, and it clogs. I mean, you need that position. You need somebody who's going to play some defense. You need to have your 4 and your 5 got to play defense. Got to. You got to protect the rim.
I agree.
And if you're not going to do that, then it's. But they wanted a king's ransom for him.
Yep.
And you heard that they almost had a deal with the Pacers, and then next thing you know, they're shipping Noel to New Orleans. No, was it Dallas? It was Dallas. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And what was it, a 3-way trade or was it just a?
I don't even remember.
No. But are you sure it went to Dallas?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why I'm thinking New Orleans, but.
No, New Orleans is Boogie Cousins and.
Yeah. But and then you hear the rumors that they were going after Paul George, which, I mean, Paul George is a good player, but was he the right player to be going after?
I don't know. I mean, Paul George is a great player. He's in the right age demo.
Yeah.
Where he could take over. I love Paul George, but they're not ready for Paul George.
No, that's that last piece you bring in. That's that piece.
He's a superstar.
In 2 years. 2 years after you get Simmons on the court, you get Simmons and Embiid, or maybe even a year, and then whoever they draft this year, and if they make the trade for Porzingis or whatever they end up doing, once you get that core together, he's that last piece you bring in. Mm-hmm. He'll be a 2 years more, a veteran, leadership, and he'll still be in his prime at that point too, which is big. 20, and that's the thing about Lowry too. I mean,
Lowry's 31.
Yeah, you give him a max contract.
You can't give him more than 3 years.
He's not going to come here. He's going to want the 5-year max. And by the time this team's ready,
he's not
going to be. I mean, is this team right now 5 years away from winning a championship?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
100%. Right. Unless you get Porzingis, unless you trade your pick and pick up Bradley Beal or whoever that you can. I mean, if you could somehow convince Golden State to give up Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
Because
Look at him this year. And you know what? They
All
actually
those guys
may
aren't
because
going to want to stay there.
look at how he's playing. You have what's the other guard, the Chris was it Minor or something? Somebody's out. Somebody I just actually read an article this morning on it that somebody is out playing Thompson, and it's like, is he gonna find himself for the finals or?
Well, I think
because it's been quiet this year.
I think Klay Thompson's looking at this year like, let's get a ring, let's have 2, and then let me figure out.
Yeah, let me find.
You can't sit.
Let
in
me
the
get
background
paid
this long.
Yeah, no. And he's still under that.
He's too good.
Yeah, and he's still under his rookie contract, right?
I don't know if he is or not.
We can find out real quick.
I'll look.
Where's Stat Boy when we need him?
Yeah, I know, right? We need our producer.
Maybe I should turn my volume
Yeah,
off.
what a rookie, dude. So Klay Thompson's on a 4-year, $68 million contract.
All right, so he's getting paid.
Which isn't bad.
Yeah, so he's not going nowhere.
That's not a huge contract.
But he's not going anywhere unless they trade him. He's under contract. He's not going nowhere.
No, yeah. They would have to trade him, but
I mean, and then you look at it like, is he a byproduct of the team like Harrison Barnes? Harrison Barnes,
no, I think
disappeared this year.
Harrison Barnes is a fraud.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, I think Klay Thompson's a very good basketball player. He's not the number one.
Right.
He's never going to be your number one option. But as long as Embiid's healthy, he's your number one.
Yeah, and you know what? Klay Thompson's that 2 guard. He's a 2 guard.
He's a 2 that will be quiet. Look, Ben Simmons is going to want to pass him the ball.
Yeah.
He's going to have wide open shots. So then you go Simmons, Thompson.
He's a pure shooter.
Yeah.
That's good. And then if you got Jackson or whoever,
If you go.
I mean, the dominoes fall there, but that's the same thing with Paul George. Klay Thompson would be that guy you bring in when that's your last piece.
Or Klay. I mean, the thing with Klay Thompson is he's the same age as Paul George. So you're looking at a guy who's
right, but it's kind of he's not on the trade block. Paul George was.
So, and I think Paul George still is.
Yeah, he's still on the trade block. So it's what is Golden State gonna want for a player like Thompson?
Golden State's gonna want picks.
Yeah, that's probably all they're gonna want.
Big man.
They're gonna want picks.
Pachulia's not gonna. So look, here's a great thing that Golden State does. They took JaVale McGee, who has been on Shaq a Fool 5,500 times.
Yes.
And they made him a serviceable player.
Okay.
So maybe that is a good scenario for Okafor. Maybe that's a place where Okafor can go and the culture takes over and says, bro, you got to get
Yeah,
shit
but they got to. I mean, they don't need another guy for offense.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe they want because Pachulia is an offensive guy.
Yeah.
And Andrew Bogut was an offensive guy.
He likes to break ankles too.
Yeah, he does. Hilarious. So you're looking at somebody like that who can maybe make the difference for them if they lose a Thompson. And look, God forbid they lose Curry this year. He's an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean,
they're not going to lose. They're not.
Curry. There's grumblings there about him not being. He did not have a great year with Durant there. Look, they're an amazing team.
Yeah.
But if you're Curry, do you want to stay there? Curry's 29.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Curry, I mean, road. I stay there. If they offer me a max contract, I stay there.
I mean, if they lose, this year, do you stay there?
If they lose, he's probably gone.
Right.
Just like Durant. Just like Durant lost and he left and he bounced.
Durant might lose. He might lose and leave again.
Which I don't like it. There's a big thing about people saying, "Oh, he should stay. He should stay." Why?
No,
why? When I mean, there is a thing where, all right, if you went to any other team, fine, but you went to the team you couldn't beat. Kind of like, you can't beat them, can't join them. And in all facets of life, I guess that's okay, except for sports. In sports, because of that level, that competitiveness you should have and that fire inside you, he should have wanted to burn them as best as he could.
Unless he really hated Westbrook.
That right there, that's the $50,000 question.
Yeah, like I don't know what they're
or whatever not $50,000, whatever he's getting paid.
Yeah, well, I'm with that. So yeah, I don't know what their relationship is, and I don't like the same thing with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. Like, it seems like that team had a really great dynamic, and then brought Durant in. It got a little weird.
Yeah, it changed it. Well, because now you've got, and they already scored. I mean, I don't think Durant made them better. I think Durant just changed it, and now guys, their roles have changed because now you have you've got an All-NBA guy, you've got a scoring leader, you've got an MVP now on your team, another MVP.
Two MVPs.
Yeah, you have another MVP. So
you got a potential defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
In Draymond.
Yeah.
You have Klay Thompson, who's probably the best pure shooter as a two.
Yeah.
In the league. Like that team is. Those guys are.
It is ridiculous. I mean, and the way they built, Draymond Green's a draft pick, Klay Thomps's a draft pick, Curry's a draft pick.
Yep.
Three of their of their
Harrison Barnes was.
Yeah, Barnes was a draft pick. They bought. I mean, really, the only free agents they bought in. I mean, they bought in. They bought in West. They bring in Durant.
They brought in Livingston a couple years ago, which was a great
Matt Barnes. They bring in, but I mean, these are all role players.
Journeyman.
They're superstars. 3 of the 4 superstars on that team are homegrown.
Yeah.
Which is good, but at the same time, it's kind of the same problem the Cubs are going to have in a couple of years.
Well, it's the same problem Oklahoma City had.
Yeah.
They had Ibaka, Harden, Westbrook, and Durant.
And but Oklahoma City made rookie mistakes with that. They're a young franchise, even though it was the Sonics. But you just say a young franchise, new team. They hadn't experienced that yet with having that superstars. They should never have traded. They should have locked. They should have kept Harden because that team was coming up. If they keep Harden, they probably win the NBA championship the next year.
They had yes.
They probably would because isn't the next year when they traded for Ibaka from Boston?
No, they had all 4 of them.
Did they
once? Yeah. They had all 4 of
them. Oh, yeah.
And then that's the team that lost to LeBron in the finals for LeBron's first championship.
Right, yeah, right.
But if you really think about it, if they keep all those pieces together, that team is...
They're right back there next year, just like, same thing like we're looking at this year. I mean, that was a dynasty. I mean, and that's kind of... that's what that's exactly what Golden State did, was they drafted pieces and it worked out. I mean, Draymond Green, I remember him in college at Michigan State. He was good, and then he was an afterthought at the draft. They got him late, in the 20s.
Way late.
Yeah, I mean, and look at him now. I mean, he's a stud. It's one of those things where how did every other NBA team miss on almost every NBA team miss on this guy? I mean, it's just, but that just goes to show you. It's like, especially with the NBA where they're all about drafting these guys on potential after 1 year in college. I mean, 2 years ago, remember Michael Olowokandi? This guy, number one pick in the draft. You never even heard of this guy. And then all of a sudden, in late May, he's the guy who's the forefront for the number one pick, and it's like, who the hell is this guy? He did nothing. I mean, he may have been a 16 seed in the NCAA tournament at Pacific, but he wasn't good. He wasn't great. He definitely.
So Draymond Green was a 2nd round draft pick.
Wow.
35th overall.
Wow. So every other NBA team, you guys all slept on that one.
Yeah.
And it's like that's one of those things where you fire your scout, especially the mid to late round teams that didn't do it. Because how do you let a guy like that slip? And he was a good. It's not like he wasn't good. He was on a good Michigan State team, and he was the player. Yeah. He was a superstar of that Michigan State team.
I think a lot of people passed on him because of his attitude, and I think a lot of people thought he was going to be a problem.
I like his attitude.
I do too. He's a crazy person. I love him.
But you need his. I mean, you need a guy like that on a team.
Yep.
You need somebody who wants to play the game right. He'll stick up for his teammates, and I mean, he walks. Yeah, he walks that line of confidence and cockiness. But it's not overly cocky. He's just confident,
and he's good.
And he's
backs
good. Yeah, exactly.
They're Ben Wallace and they're Dennis Rodman. And they're,
but he actually has an offensive game to him.
Yeah, he does.
Unlike those guys.
Yep.
So, all right, moving on from the NBA.
Yeah.
So how about these Phillies?
What have they lost? Their 19 of their last 23, or is it more than that?
Yeah, I think it's 19 of 23. They get a walk off yesterday from Tommy Joseph.
Yep.
And Velasquez 5 innings, 7 Ks.
Yep.
And you're reading all this stuff and listening about Velasquez about whether or not what are they going to do with him? Are they going to take him to the bullpen, or are they going to get rid of him, send him to the minors? McKennaman, or however you say his name, came out and said that they're not going to send him to the minors. They're going to stick with him. But the thing with him is, I think he needs to be treated like an old school pitcher, like a like a Nolan Ryan. You get him out there and you let him throw the pitch counts away because the kid's good. He just has to throw, and he's a power pitcher, and his control's not there. So even if he's at 100 pitches in the 5th inning, if he's got 7 Ks, I mean, if he's let up 7, 8 runs, all right, pull him. But if he's in a 3-run game, his pitch counts a little high, let him go. I mean, here's the thing. You see all these guys coming out with Tommy John, younger, and it's got nothing to do with the arms being dead because of pitch counts. You know what it is? It's because these kids throwing curveballs when they're 10 years old.
Yeah, they're throwing jump pitches.
Yeah, I mean,
tiny kids.
I know it firsthand from coaching kids, and I don't let them throw anything until they're 13.
Yeah,
but
change up.
Yeah, you've got these. The problem with baseball is you've got kids playing travel ball and AAU and TSC at they're 7 years old and their life is baseball now. They're not even allowed to be kids, so they're putting that torque on their elbow that's not needed, and that's why they're 20 years old or they're in high school getting Tommy John, and it's ridiculous. And there never was a thing of pitch counts. So and you would think with the training and the science that's available and the health that guys would be able to go longer, not shorter.
Yeah, well, I think the other problem too is, and I heard somebody talking about this from sports science too, is that when we were kids, we played everything, right? You played baseball in the summer, you played basketball in the fall or winter, you did football
or soccer,
so you do all these different sports. Now it's like if you're 8 and you show any promise in baseball, you're playing winter league baseball, you're putting the same pressure on your body all year playing the same sport.
Yep.
So yeah, what do you think is going to happen?
And if you're a pitcher, yeah. I mean, and here's the thing too: when you're good like that, you're playing on multiple teams.
Yeah.
And every team wants you to pitch for them.
Yes.
Like I had, I don't like coaching kids until they get to like 13, 14 years old. They get on a big field. I will do like the 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds because I think I can actually teach them the game at that point. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, when I get to the age level where these kids are playing on different teams, but especially if they're playing middle school, high school ball, it's another one of those unwritten rules of baseball. But it's kind of like you only pitch for one team, and if you're pitching for your school, that's your top team.
Yeah.
But now these travel coaches, no, I'm your top team.
Yeah.
And so the kid's going out, he's throwing 7 innings at the high school, and so he's got to rest 4 or 5 days at high school or whatever, whatever the pitch count little league. But those innings, they don't count for the for the town ball or the TSC. So now that those kids, we got a real important game. So they let the kid pitch. He's pitching on a day's rest, 2 days rest, and he pitches good. But look at the damage you're doing to that kid.
Yeah.
And it's it comes, and there's another thing too with parental pressure and a lot of parents trying to live through their kids or trying to think their kids are better than they are and putting pressure on their kids and it's a shame because I coached a kid who was 12 years old. He's one of the best kids in the league, all-star kid, all-star every year he played, and I didn't see his name on the list 13-year-old signups, and I asked his mom, why, did you guys just not miss some? Or no, he doesn't want to play anymore. I was shell shocked, and it's, he said he just wants to be a kid. He wants his summers. He's tired of not being able to do anything because he's baseball. They had him on 3 different teams, and it's these kids are playing. They're playing games from April until October, maybe November now, and then they don't even get that break because now they're doing indoor workouts. So it's too much, and it's just like you said, let them play something else. But and then you have the kids that do play other things. They'll play their sports, but they're never taking the rest, and that's big. And then if they're not burnt out by the time they get to high school, they're overused. And I mean that's probably why you've got all this Tommy John.
Totally.
Hey, I'm not a doctor, but they're if you look at the history. Why you don't see if you go back 40 years these pitchers aren't having.
They were throwing 150 pitches.
Yeah.
And they didn't care.
Innings, right? Strikeouts.
Complete games. Who throws complete games?
When
now?
are you going to see 300 strikeouts again?
Nope.
You're not, because guys like Clemens and Nolan Ryan, they were throwing 300 innings. Now if a guy hits 220, it's like, oh my God, he threw too many innings. We have to fucking rest him in July.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. It really is crazy.
And, but so with the Phillies, it's tough to see what you're going to do, because I think with a guy like Velasquez, you have to just let him throw and see what he's doing. Like let him figure it. Some guys need to figure it out themselves.
Yep.
And then there's another thing to change the speed a little bit, or the subject on the Phillies. I read a good article yesterday about, and it was a couple different sports writers, local sports writers, and they had their opinions on which, the past month and a half, the first quarter of the season. What do you see, and do you expect to see any improvement? Of anything? And they all had a consensus. They all had different stories of what they saw, but the consensus was what they expected was not as much losing, but not nothing. Almost the same kind of baseball, but just not as much losing, because you just can't lose that much.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. I mean, obviously it's possible, but you can't go on. But the biggest thing was there's no leadership here. They don't have a take charge player. You would think a guy like Herrera or Franco would be that guy. Herrera's an all-star. Franco is this highly talented prospect who, you thought he would figure it out, but he just, they're both batting under 250?
230, 230.
Yeah, I mean,
Herrera's batting 226.
Yeah, and it's, it's you've got a stacked farm right now, and you've got guys ready to come up. But are they ready to come up now, or are you just going to bringing them up for their sake, or are you bringing them up just because you want to put them up? And that's a decision that the Phillies need to make right now with guys like Roman Quinn and Dylan Cozens and Rhys Hoskins. All right. Crawford as well, but I don't really hear too much about Crawford.
Crawford's a year.
Crawford, but see, the thing about Crawford is he's been a highly talented prospect,
He's not hitting any.
But he's not, but the thing about the hitting is they say that the hitting comes last. If he's a great defender.
Yeah.
If he can at least make contact and not strike out, maybe get learn the strike zone a little bit, that's what they want to see, because hitting is the last thing that comes, and any pro scout will tell you that. But the other guys, the Hoskins, the Cozens, the Quinn, it's they're all in AAA and they're having a good year. I mean, Hoskins just, I think he set a record for RBIs in a month. I mean, he's mashing the ball again.
He really is.
And,
now J.P. Crawford's batting 170.
And I think
just so we know,
they were ready to bring up Cozen. Wait, is it Hoskins or Cozen's first baseman?
Hoskins.
They were ready to bring him up, but Tommy Joseph has turned it on a little lately. So, which is he hits the tying home run last night. He hits the home run last night and to tie the game, and he hits the walk off, which is I read the article yesterday, so it was kind of for a little foreshadowing for the game, but. It's you want to. I mean, I'll say it. I mean, I'm gonna say, get these guys up here, see what they can do. But if they're not ready, if they're not kicking ass where they are, don't get up. And I
think Hoskins is ready.
He's ready, but
he's batting 333. He's got 13 homers, 37 RBIs.
Right, but then what do you do with Joseph?
I don't know.
Because we got Joseph as a catcher, but he can't because of the concussion, so he's the first baseman now, and he's good. So I mean, you don't want to trade Hoskins or you don't want to trade him. I mean, but would anybody trade for Tom Joseph? And talk about trading Hellickson, get rid of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be gone.
Yeah, I mean, we're not obviously.
I mean, he's on 1 year. The only thing that may prevent him from going somewhere is since he's a 1 year deal and the Phillies asking for too much. But trade him, or they may hold on to him because they want to get, if somebody signs him, then they get that draft pick. So there's the thing. I mean, they're paying him $16 million a year, but he's going to be going because the contender is going to get him. Because look what he's doing. I mean, what's he? What is he? 8-1 right now, or he may have got. No, he didn't get the win yesterday.
He is. Yeah, no, he did not.
This is where we need our producer.
I know. Seriously.
or an agenda to talk about, because obviously you can
that's
see we go off on tangents.
So Jeremy Hellickson is 5-2.
Oh, it's 5-2. I don't know where how I was coming up with 8-1 from, but
It's all right.
yeah, but still 5-2 on a team like that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But he will be. I mean, he's strong. He's probably what do you think? Like a number 3 somewhere.
He's a 3.
But that's the problem. I mean, the problem with this staff is you have all 4s and 5s. I mean, you could even say he's a 4, right? He's a high 4.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have 4. Your pitching staff is comprised of 4s and 5s, and the bullpen, which is what you thought would have been the strength of this pitching staff, is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Now there is some mismanagement going on there. The whole thing with the closer getting demoted, and then Benoit.
Gomez.
Yeah, Gomez. I was, I know it was Jamar, but I was going to say Gomez. Like, I'm just losing my mind here. But you got Benoit who comes out and says, interesting enough, right after they announced that they give McCannigan, I don't know how to say his name, but who knows? I didn't think he'd be around this long to learn how to say his name. But they give him an extension, and then Benoit comes out and says he totally mismanaged the bullpen situation. He demotes the closer and gives it to Benoit, or doesn't give it to Benoit. But he says he comes out and says it's going to be a closer by committee, basically. But then anoints, basically uses Benoit, or so. And but the moral of the story here is nobody in the bullpen knew anything. They didn't know what was going on. So you've got to talk. I mean, what are we looking at? Are we in preschool, or are we or is he a new age coach where is he afraid to hurt everybody's feeling? Did he grow up in the trophy society?
No, these are adults that are grown men. They're making millions of dollars.
Exactly.
You have to be able to be honest with them.
Yeah, I mean, so it's I don't know, but I mean, in a nutshell, the Phillies just I was saying 3 years they'd be good. I think it's probably going to be more 5 but you never know if they get the influx of talent up here. It can change things, but pitching's everything, and I think that's what they don't have. They don't have pitching, and I don't think they have a lot of pitching in the minors either. But they must, because
they don't have great pitching in the minors. Pitching you can buy.
Yeah, but every level of their organization made the playoffs last year, except the the Phillies.
Yeah, their farm system's good right now.
So they got to have pitching.
Dude, Lehigh's that's a great team to watch right now.
No, because they have all these guys that are ready to make the jump.
You have Alfaro down there is batting .283. You have all those Hoskins.
Quinn's there, right?
Mm-hmm. There.
And you do have Jay Crawford, who he's not an offensive, but he's still. You've got usually a team that's stacked like that is in AA because those guys don't go to AAA. On good, AAA is usually reserved for rehab assignments and journeyman players, not hot prospects. Hot prospects usually make the jump to AA, and it's almost like why are these guys being blocked by nobodies? That's.
I don't know.
You've got Michael Saunders blocking Cousins.
Yeah, for what?
And you have Joseph blocking Hoskins, and maybe it's Joseph was a prospect. Give him some. Okay, I guess he give him some time. But what you don't want to happen is, what happened with Howard.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. You don't want the Jim Thome, Ryan Howard.
Yeah, even because look, Howard came up and he was ready. He was ready but he was ready He was ready 3 years before.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Utley. Utley was ready. Utley came up and he platooned until he got rid of Polanco.
Yeah.
And then. That's because the sad thing is with the way that the contracts work in baseball, if you can get these guys up when they're young, you have them for pennies on the dollar, for years. What is it? It's like 5-6 years, from when they make their major league debut. 5-6 years from when they make their major league debut before they become a free agent, and then you may pay them in arbitration, and Ryan Howard set the record that was just broken by Bryce Harper for arbitration. Yeah. But you're still getting a steal on these guys.
Yeah.
And to have them just sit and rot in the minors is
it's just silly.
It's silly.
Yeah, I mean, it's in July or August. You got to really think about calling up 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, just you got to say, look, it's not working out. I mean, even Galvis is serviceable, but I mean, not that Galvis is safe because J.P. Crawford's not lighting a fire.
No,
but I think the other guys are.
Next year.
I mean, I think Quinn is. I think Quinn, Alfaro,
Why
Hoskins.
is Kendrick in AAA? What the fuck is he doing down there?
I don't know. I mean, he started off hot. I mean, and then
He might be rehabbing.
Yeah, I mean, he did get hurt. I mean, I did have him in a fantasy and he got hurt, so I dropped him. So I think he is rehabbing.
Yeah, they got. I mean, the AAA team's stacked.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just let them get up and it's also let them play for 2 years together at the major league level. I mean, look at what happened with our core, the best baseball that's been played. That was played in Philly. Those guys were all cut up by 06. And then and every year they got a little bit better.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of them were up in 05, and I think Ruiz was the last one. Was in either 05 or 06. But I mean, Rollins was here since 01. Burrow was here, and then you bring up Utley and Howard, and then you get Worth and Victorino and Rule 5, and then trades.
Yep.
I mean, and that's the core right there. And I mean that's what you need to do. So.
Yeah, Lehigh's 31-15.
Yeah, I mean they're good. I mean, and the thing is, you start pulling players from there and they keep it up. That says something too, because I mean, any day in that level, those guys are getting pulled. So, I mean, but it's definitely more interesting to watch Lehigh and take the 45-minute or 90-minute drive out there than to. And you know what? You'll end up saving money because the ticket prices are cheaper. The concessions are
so much
or steel.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, I don't know, but moving on.
Yeah, all right. Let's wrap this bitch up. We're almost cut off.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool.
So we got through 2 sports today.
We did 2. We did baseball and basketball. All right, cool. So we will do this again next week. Everybody tune in. We're going to try to do them on Fridays. If not, we're going to post it on social when we're doing them. So we'll talk to everybody next week.